She was the CEO of a thriving hotel, respected, successful, unstoppable. But one morning, she was forced out of her own building, humiliated in front of everyone. No warning, no reason she could understand. In less than 10 minutes, everything she knew about fairness and power would be challenged. What happened next wasn't just a personal attack. It revealed a bitter truth about who gets to belong and who doesn't. How did she respond to this injustice? And what would she do to take back control?
It was a bright, bustling morning at the hotel. Angela Davis, a Black CEO in her late 30s, moved through the lobby with calm confidence, greeting staff and guests alike. She had built this business from the ground up. Every corner reflected her vision, her hard work, her dedication. To outsiders, she seemed untouchable, polished, composed, successful. Her daily routine was predictable. A morning briefing, checking emails, walking through the hotel to ensure everything ran smoothly. The staff respected her. The regular guests admired her attention to detail. Life felt steady, controlled. But there were subtle reminders that not everyone saw her success the same way. Certain guests whispered behind her back. A few staff members' eyes lingered a little too long with judgment. Angela brushed it off. She had faced prejudice before, and she was used to proving herself. Yet, on this particular day, something felt different. There was a tension in the air, a faint unease she couldn't quite place. The hotel, usually a sanctuary of order and elegance, seemed quieter, almost waiting. Angela walked toward the front desk, unaware that the very place she had built would soon become the stage for an injustice that would shock her, humiliate her, and push her to a breaking point. And it all started with a simple question from someone who had no right to ask it.
Angela's morning continued as usual, or so she thought. As she approached the front desk to review the day's bookings, a hotel guest stepped forward, his tone sharp, his words clipped. "Excuse me, ma'am, you can't be here," he said, pointing toward the lobby. Angela blinked, stunned. I own this hotel," she replied calmly, expecting confusion to clear instantly.
But it didn't. The guest's expression twisted, disbelief and disdain mixing together. "No, you don't. You have to leave. Now!" Her stomach tightened. Around her, the staff watched in awkward silence, some avoiding eye contact, others nodding nervously. Angela's heart raced, a mix of shock and simmering anger bubbling beneath the surface. This wasn't just about a misunderstanding. It was about her very presence being questioned because of who she was. Minutes felt like hours. She tried to explain, to assert her position as CEO. But the man persisted, growing louder, more insistent. Staff members started whispering to each other, glancing at her as if the confrontation was somehow her fault. Angela realized, with a sinking feeling, that this wasn't just an isolated incident. It was a ripple of prejudice she had encountered before, now invading her own domain.
Then a low murmur started among the other guests. Some began taking out their phones, filming the encounter. The humiliation was now public, documented in seconds for everyone to see. Angela's pulse thundered in her ears. She wanted to stay composed, to keep her cool. But the unfairness, the audacity, ignited something fierce inside her. As the guest finally stormed off, muttering under his breath, Angela felt the weight of the moment settle over her. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was a challenge, a test of everything she had built. She knew she couldn't let this slide, not for herself, not for the principal, not for every person who had been told they didn't belong. Her mind sharpened, a plan forming, even as her anger simmered. This wasn't over, far from it, and in just minutes, the balance of power in the hotel and in that moment would be entirely hers to reclaim.
Angela stood in the lobby, the air thick with tension. Every eye was on her, the staff, the guests, the security cameras capturing her every move. The humiliation of being questioned in her own hotel boiled into a fierce, white-hot anger. She felt the weight of every injustice she had endured, every time her competence had been doubted because of the color of her skin. Then it happened. The guest who had caused the chaos returned, this time flanked by 2 security guards, their faces hard, eyes unmoving. "You still can't be here," he said, his voice sharper, more threatening. Angela's pulse hammered in her ears. This wasn't just about pride anymore. It was about justice, about standing her ground when the world seemed determined to push her down.
Her hands clenched at her sides, a fire ignited inside her, equal parts fear and fury. Every lesson she had learned about restraint, about patience in the face of prejudice, vanished. This moment demanded action. She took a slow, deliberate step forward, her gaze locked on him, unwavering. "Leave," she said, her voice cutting through the murmurs of the lobby. Not a request, not hesitation. A command. Every ounce of authority she had earned radiated from her. The guest froze, then faltered, confusion flashing across his face as the staff and witnesses waited, holding their breath. Angela didn't stop there. She moved swiftly, making calls, issuing directives, asserting the power she had always held but was momentarily denied. Within minutes, the tables had turned. The very place meant to humiliate her now reflected her control, her resilience, and her refusal to be sidelined. For a brief, tense moment, the lobby was silent, the energy crackling like electricity. Angela's eyes scanned the room, and in that instant, everyone understood, nothing and no one could diminish her presence, her authority, or her dignity. And as she stood there, taking a deep breath, she knew one thing with absolute certainty. This was only the beginning.
As she walked through the lobby, seeing the staff finally align with her vision once again, Angela felt a resolve settle within her. Change, she realized, begins with courage. The courage to confront unfairness head-on, to assert one's rightful place, and to refuse silence in the face of discrimination. Her story was no longer just hers. It became a statement, a spark for awareness, and a reminder that accountability matters. Every action, every voice, every stand against injustice counts. And though the incident had shaken her, it also strengthened her, a testament to the power of resilience in a world that still struggles with racial inequality.
The lobby finally settled into silence. The chaos had ended, but the weight of what had happened lingered in every corner. Angela stood tall, her chest still heavy with adrenaline, but also with a quiet sense of triumph. She had been humiliated, questioned, and doubted, but she had reclaimed her space, her authority, and her dignity. The hotel, once a stage for injustice, now bore witness to her resilience. Yet the victory was bittersweet. Angela knew that her experience was not unique. It was a reflection of a larger truth, a world where countless people are judged, marginalized, and undermined simply because of the color of their skin. What had happened to her in those few tense minutes was just one instance in a system that often ignores, diminishes, or denies such injustices.
She moved toward the manager on duty, hoping for support, but even he hesitated, glancing nervously at the guest before murmuring that perhaps it's best to let him calm down. Angela's jaw tightened. Her authority, her achievements, her identity, they were all being stripped away, second by second, in front of witnesses.
So the question remains, not just for Angela, but for all of us watching. When faced with injustice, will we remain silent or will we act?
Will we challenge the systems that perpetuate discrimination or let them continue unchecked? The answer and the courage to act lies within each of us.